Just wondering, have you told that story on air? I'm guessing you can't.
What's that?
I think you haven't told that story on air.
No, I haven't.
No.
I couldn't tell here if I told him.
I think we are on air. We're just adding to the legend. That's all. I'll come back to that. First of all, thanks for being here. Just great to have such a nice turnout. Gary, the I Club, always do such a great job putting this on. Band Spirit Squad, you guys are rolling right now. Boy, you got momentum. I wish we had your kind of momentum. 3 or 4 prizes 2 weeks in a row, so you're doing a great job on that front. And it's always great having Pastor Mark with us. And I haven't tracked records. I track a lot of things. That's one thing I haven't done. But let's keep it going. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. We'll get home to see you in a couple of weeks. Just a couple of words about Ed. You know, if you listen to Gary's introduction, you just think about things. I tell our players this all the time. You hear things, you hear numbers, you hear accolades, and things get thrown around so much. But you know, sometimes I think we don't realize just what accomplishments are. You think about 286 yards in a college game rushing. That's a ton. That is just an absolute ton, and then maybe more remarkable, 155 yards return yardage in a pro game. That's absolutely unheard of. So you think about the things that Ed's done as a football player, absolutely phenomenal. And to me, more importantly, and I go back to the 80s, Kodak moment for me, Dean Ernie Zoomer. Tell me what a great real estate student Ed was at the university, one of the best all-time he had ever been around. There's a lot of depth to Ed. I know you've listened to get a chance to join him on the radio. He's got great knowledge of the game, but also great understanding of the game and the people that are competing in it. And it's just, Ed, we're so lucky to have you, so appreciate it all. Thank you. Maybe apropos too, you know, the Pat Anger jersey, you think about Pat Anger and the toughness that he's displayed. He's going through an injury rehab right now, and go right back to that photo line too. I think that's some of the great Hawkeyes that we've had come through. Just really demonstrated just a lot of perseverance, mental toughness, and that's, to me, the beauty of this game. That's what it teaches as much as anything. So, you know, I think that's a fitting pairing right there. Anger and Podolak, that's a pretty good team. It's a good way to start an offense and a defense, that's for sure. Gary referred to me as the dean of Big Ten coaches, and that's kind of a goofy thing, but we do have a real dean. Donnie, great to have you here. And Danny also was one of the school pharmacies products a couple of years ago. Danny's doing a great job, and working up in Chicago, doing a real good job there too. And also just want to take a moment and recognize the person that won that ball. When I got here this morning, I spotted Gene out there. Gene, great to have you back for homecoming. Gene's a graduate of Iowa, a doctor, retired doctor, and is currently living out in New Jersey and was kind enough to join us on the cruise last year. So, Gene, great to have you here, and Stephanie, thanks for bringing Gene. So, great to see you guys. And as much as I don't want to, I will. I'll look back. Certainly last week was a very disappointing loss for everybody in the room, and I can assure you, everybody associated with the program. You know, the last few minutes were very painful, and there were a lot of plays there that had we changed, could we change, had we done better. Clearly, we win the football game. But I think maybe as illustrative as what we did wrong in that ball game goes right back to the first half. Things that you know, are really just things that you can't do, just the basics. And if you violate some of those rules that we did, it's going to be tough to beat any football team. And we found that out the hard way last week. We came off the field at halftime. I think we had 7 penalties. At that point, 5 of them being more than a 5-yard infraction. And that's not a good thing, obviously. We turned the ball over on our own end, which gave them 3 points, and we gave up a big play, a non-contested play. And those are really staples of being successful in football. You can't turn the football over. We've done a pretty good job of that throughout the years. You can't play good defense and give up big plays, non-contested plays. And then penalties are a little different, but the kind of penalties that we had are the kind that can be very, very costly. You know, some are left open to interpretation. That's neither here nor there, because that's going to happen during the course of the season. But the bottom line is you can't have 7 penalties in a half and expect to win against anybody. So, you know, there are a lot of things that we had to go back and dissect, certainly, and that's what we did on Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, and certainly Monday as well. Address those things during the course of the week. And, you know, I think as coaches, as players, and I can tell you this, you know, we're probably fortunate because, you know, we didn't have time to really dissect and wallow and, you know, feeling bad. We had to turn our attention to a very tough opponent on Monday morning. So that's really what we did. Actually, it started Sunday night. But that's part of what we do. And, you know, you have to do that if you're competing. It is interesting to me, though, and I mentioned this on the talk show the other night. You know, I got my first exposure to the outside world on Tuesday, met with the media, and read a couple things that evening before I went to bed. You know, one of the things, one of the writers pointed out that Vanderburg's ranked 11th in our conference in pass efficiency, just to point out one thing. And one thing when you lose, you know, it's really interesting how you look at things, the perspective you take. And, you know, I was pretty aware of what we did offensively the first 2 weeks. Yeah, I think that's pretty evident. And, I'm not a big statistic guy, especially in the month of September. I think it's kind of like rankings. You know, they really mean something in November, late October. You start to see things. But, you know, that did catch me off guard a little bit. So I got curious. I went back and looked at some of the numbers a little bit. If you look at James Vanderburg right now, and first of all, I couldn't, if you put I shouldn't say it, if you offered me a bonus prize, you know, I couldn't explain pass efficiency if my life depended on it, all right? But I do know what a quarterback's job is. His job is to move the team and help the team be successful, and that's what good quarterbacks do. They show leadership, and we've got a tremendous quarterback on our hands right now. It was pretty evident, anybody watched, our first 2 games, our passing offense was not one to behold. And, you know, I think my sister might have even called in from Colorado to point that out. So, if you look at the last 2 weeks right now, I think we're averaging roughly 215 plus yards running and passing per game, scoring 30 points a game. And yeah, our biggest hill the first 2 weeks was we got down to the red zone and couldn't score touchdowns. We scored one in northern Illinois, and outside of that, came out empty. So, you know, if you look at it the last 2 weeks, we've been down there 9 times. We get stopped at the end of the game 2 weeks ago on the goal line. Really didn't impact the game in a great way. We've had 2 field goals and 6 touchdowns. And I got to tell you, as a head coach, I really don't care if we run the ball in or throw it in. It doesn't matter to me as long as we get it in the end zone. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, the offense has been doing pretty well. And I would venture to say James Vanderburg's played pretty well. No interceptions. He's thrown for 64% the last 2 weeks. So I think he's doing a good job. And the thing we're excited about is we feel like we're going to get better offensively because we're still not there yet. We don't have the rhythm that we're looking for. But that's just one illustration. That's just one example of, you know, when you start really dissecting things. So, you know, we've got some moving parts right now. There's no question about that. But, you know, to suggest that James Vanderburg's not a good college quarterback or a good Big Ten quarterback, you know, I think that's going to look a little foolish. And, you know, at the end of the year, I think that'll be substantiated. And that's really kind of the way the seasons go. And every year is a little bit different. Certainly, you know, we got off to a tough start back in 08. We were 3-3. Got off to a tough start in 2004. We were 2-2 after 4 games. Yeah, both those seasons turned out to be pretty rewarding, pretty enjoyable. And then conversely, in 04, we were struggling earlier too, and you know, it really never got a whole lot better. You know, it was one of those years where we didn't go to a bowl game. So, yeah, that's anything about sports. Really, nobody knows how it's going to turn out until you start playing the game. But nobody would disagree. It's very hurtful. It's tough to experience games where you don't win a game where you feel like you got a great chance. And the reality is a lot of games turn out that way, and it's just how you do the little things, such as penalties, not giving up turnovers, not giving up easy, uncontested big plays, that's going to determine the outcome of things. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and I think we've exhibited some growth throughout the year. We've done some good things. We have not been consistent enough, and that's really, to me, the target that we have to achieve. And, you know, if you look at football, I've always talked to our players about football as a true team sport, and it really is. And you could suggest that we played good defense in our second game. We lost 9-6. But my suggestion there would be, you know, as good as the defense was in terms of keeping our opponent out, if they held that team to 5, we would have won the ball game. And you know, last week, if we scored 33 points, we win the game too. So, you know, that's just how football is, and it's what you're doing that given day that counts. So that's where our focus is right now. We're focused, as we always are, on improving, to seeing what we can do better, seeing how we can grow, and certainly developing consistency, because the roller coaster we were on last week, just it's not going to work. So that's what our work's been focused on this week. I think it's outstanding that we've got an environment like we're walking into this Saturday. We've got a great homecoming weekend going on right now. The Pinnacle will be, like it always, it'll be a fantastic place to enter tomorrow, and we're playing a team that's playing very, very well, and rightfully so. Minnesota comes in here 4-0. They've looked extremely impressive, and we're going to have to be at our absolute best. We've got the same 4 captains. We've got the 3 Jameses and Micah Hyde will be our captains, and then we're honored to have Cedric Shaw will be with us. First time he's been back, speaking of homecoming, first time he's been back to campus since he left in '96. '96 was his senior year. He's coming back with his family. He's very excited. I'm just really anxious to meet Cedric. I've never had the opportunity to meet him personally, but he sounds like a tremendous person on the phone. I've heard nothing but great things about him. I do distinctly remember being on the couch in Baltimore, watching the Alamo Bowl. I think they played Texas Tech, and he ran for a lot of yards. I don't know how many it was, but I remember it was a lot of yards, and he had a tremendous career, so we're excited to have him back here as well. So, going back to Minnesota, they're playing well offensively. They've got they've got the 2 biggest quarterbacks probably in college football, certainly. 2 very different type of quarterbacks. The guy that played last year's got an ankle injury, so we expect the young guy Shortell to be the player. He'll be in there. He's a thrower. His first experience was a year ago when Greg got hurt. He came in against Southern Cal out in the Coliseum and played very, very well. He's done a good job this year as well. So they've got a good football team. They're aggressive up front. They've got an excellent running back playing for them. So good offensive football team. And then defensively right now, they're holding opponents to a very low points per game by average. So that's very impressive, especially if you take away the overtime game they got involved in. That they came in about the regulation period 13-13. So they're holding people down. I believe it's around 12 points a game, somewhere in there if you look at regulations. So they're really doing well. They're well coached. They play hard. That's why they're 4-0 right now. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting matchup. We're really looking forward to getting back on the field, as you might imagine. And you can't think of a better place to be than Kinnick. So just wanted to, again, just say we appreciate you being here this morning, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Should be a great, great day. So appreciate you being here. Thank you.